The PBA Fall Tour on NBC. And Earl, great having you with our NBC Sports family.
Thank you, Jay. It's my pleasure to be here, but let's get right to the action.
Indeed, indeed. Here we go. The Ponderosa Lanes here in San Antonio, the site of this action. Tita Semez ready to go. Tita from Cedar Grove, New Jersey. And he leaves the 10.
Key thing right out of the gate here, Jay, is to get a good start for your team. And as you'll notice, the senior player is starting on the left lane, which means that the touring player or the younger player, the one with the most experience with television, is going to be finishing the match or bowling the 10th frame, the even frames.
This gentleman finished second to you in the '78 Firestone Tournament of Champions.
I mean, I won one somewhere, huh?
Oh, you won more than anybody else.
Cross lane at the 10 pin should be an easy spare for Tita Semez to cover.
Tita being partnered by Kent Wagner, and this is the veteran Roy Ryan from Massapequa, New York. His lovely wife Lynn watching today in London, Ontario. He wanted to say hello to her.
I was talking to Roy earlier, Jay, and he was so pumped up about this. He feels that he's got the best partner in the telecast, the young Norm Duke. And Norm is a fine player, and he's especially a good pressure player, so it should be an exciting match.
They call this little man Stormin' Norman. He's only 20 years old, 5'6", 122 pounds, just a 26-inch waist.
I was born with a 26-inch waist.
Duke gets the break.
What that was, Jay, really was a characteristic of the lane surface. The shot here this week is inside. In other words, the players are playing toward the middle of the lane, and if they get the ball a little wide outside of what we call the track area, which is between the second and third arrow, the ball tends to skid. And Norm, being the kind of guy he is, he wants to get out of the gate good. He wants to have a good start, so he gave the ball a little extra room, didn't quite make it back to the pocket. Easy spare for Norm to go straight at it. Barely made it. Almost spoke too soon, didn't he?
Almost got away from him.
It looks like they're having a little problem with the approach, Jay, and I've noticed that both the players that have bowled on the left-hand lane, when they shot their spare, they tend to stick at the foul line.
Here's our first look at Kent Wagner, Palmetto, Florida. This is his first championship round appearance this year.
Get there, kid, get there.
Got a good break, Jay. Got the 7-pin to fall. Still leaves a tough spare. Whenever you have any kind of a double wood situation like this is, the 2-8, it's difficult to cover. Kent's what they call a power bowler. Even though he's small in stature, he throws a strong ball. And that one he gave a little extra room, much as Norm Duke did, but the ball didn't quite make it back. Same situation, a little wide, into the oil outside the track area.
He recently married lady professional bowler of the year, Lisa Rathgeber. He picks it up.
Jay, that was a great shot under the circumstances. Just getting into the television format, just getting started. Kent doesn't have that much experience. Very difficult spare, and he covered it well.
Semez and Wagner, -2. Tita Semez.
Good break for Tita. Everybody's a little nervous, Jay, as you know. It's a little difficult to get out there and get started right out of the gate, making your best shots. Tita was a little tentative on that shot. As he went to the foul line, he's trying to steer the ball rather than let it go. He set it down early, and by setting it down early, it picks up friction, hooks early, goes through the middle of the head pin. Luckily, got out the 7-pin, left an easy spare. Cross lane at the 6-10. See how he's stuck on that shot, Jay? Notice that?
Yes, indeed.
That's 3 shots in a row that when they shot the spare cross lane, they had trouble with the approach. Now watch him lose his balance. He gets to the foul line. When he goes into his slide with his left heel, it stops and he's off balance. And Tita's thinking, boy, I hope I make that spare. He was nervous.
Roy Ryan. Oh, the 10 wouldn't go. Roy became a member of the PBA in '60, this being a charter member by only a few months.
Joking a little bit with his partner there, wishing he got a break.
Pretty good looking face for a man of 55 years of age, isn't he?
Pretty good looking face for a man of 25 years.
Right.
He looks pretty good to me.
Oh, he's a fun fellow.
He's a lot of fun to be with, a lot of fun to talk to. They've had a real good time working together this week.
All right. And you can see that Roy is excited, and so is young Mr. Duke. Big crowd on hand here at the Ponderosa Lanes, where the hospitality has been splendid here in Texas. Ryan and Duke up 3. Got them all.
Best shot of the match right there, Jay. Norm Duke was great on that shot.
All right, we'll be back with more right after this. Has just come up with a strike in the 4th, and here it is, Earl.
And look at the loft on the ball. He's trying to delay the break, Jay, get the ball farther down the lane so it hits a little harder in the pin area but stays on line. Excellent shot.
Here's Tita Semez. A little bit high.
Tita's having a little trouble, Jay, with that lane, and I think part of it is the approach. He's having trouble getting a good slide, and he's a little tentative. He's being careful, and when you're careful, as you know, you can't make good shots.
He's back at full strength this week. Final stop on the summer tour in Canton. He hurt his thumb, and it was a real problem for him.
It was, but he's had 8 weeks off. He's back in good shape. He's feeling good, and Tita's going to be, before this is over, Jay, he'll be a big facet in what happens out there. A lot of experience there.
Ryan and Duke up by 3.
Look at the concentration there, Jay. He's really...
They call him Squeaky, don't they?
They call him Squeaky. He used to sing when he was setting pins as a little boy. What a reaction.
Ryan and Duke are having some fun here in the early going.
Look at the roll on the ball. As the ball rotates down the lane, it starts to break a little early, but because of the side roll on the ball, it holds it slightly longer, gets a good kick off the wall, trips the 4-pin, and that's a big break for the team because it's a double, Jay.
And the reaction. He loved it. We've had a little problem with one of the lanes, Earl, and they're having to kind of shovel the balls down from another lane.
We had a breakdown just before our time, Jay. Lane 21 has a problem with the pin spotter. The pins are slightly off spot, and as they went to adjust it, they had a problem with the ball return. So the balls are coming back on 19 and 20, and they're being carried to the bowlers on 21 and 22, our championship pair. Shouldn't affect the scoring at all. It shouldn't affect the bowlers because they can still concentrate on what they're doing.
Norm Duke qualified for TV finals twice last season. Knocks them down.
This team has been this way all week, Jay. They've been very emotional. Watch how excited Norm gets at the foul line. He knows he made a good shot. Look at his reaction. He's down on his knees. Watch him pull the string. There you go, right there.
3 in a row for Ryan and Duke, and here again is Kent Wagner.
They've got to get it going quick. Same spare he had earlier, Jay, the 2-8. Difficult spare. Easy to chop. Easy to leave that 8-pin standing by taking out the 2-pin in the front.
Kent, 25 years of age. 6th year on the tour. His first championship round appearance this year and the 3rd of his career. This $130,000 seniors touring pro doubles here at Ponderosa Lanes in San Antonio.
It's a problem.
And they're open.
Critical shot at this point in the match too, Jay. They're midway through the first match. Norm Duke and of course Roy Ryan are on 3 in a row, and that open was a big setback for Tita's team. Tita's still struggling with the left lane. He's thrown 3 balls in a row through the middle of the headpin. I think he's trying to aim the ball. I mentioned that earlier, Jay, but I really do feel he's trying to aim the ball. He's trying to be too careful. If Tita would get up there and be a little more relaxed, let the ball swing freer, get the speed that he needs to hold it on line, he'd be better. Do it much better.
You saw the gentleman handing the ball over to Tita from the other lane. Picks up the spare. As we mentioned, a slight problem with that, but it has not hurt the competition here at all. Ryan and Duke. There's the number 6 team, the alternates on the right there. The gentleman looking around is Carmen Salvino, one of the original PBA members, and Don Janello, the New Yorker. Fine young bowler there. And he won at Garden City. Looked like father and son sitting there almost.
They sure do. Carmen's the president-elect of the PBA this year, Jay, and he'll be going into office very shortly. And I think he'll give us some good direction for the PBA.
Well, he was there at the beginning. Eddie Elias's dream.
That's right.
Roy Ryan. Got to hurry. Didn't carry.
Typical shot this week. The idea is to get the ball up to the pocket a little earlier in the release. He didn't quite get it there, and now he's got a difficult spare, Jay.
This is the first year for this tournament. Earl the doubles, and an interesting format.
It is interesting because in this concept for television, the bowlers stay on the same lane. In other words, Roy Ryan will always bowl on lane 22 throughout the match, and his partner Norm Duke will always bowl on lane 21. They've decided which lane in practice they wanted to compete on because they happen to score better, or which bowler they wanted to bowl the 10th frame. And it's a key thing to make that decision, because if you make the wrong decision, you could be in a lot of trouble toward the end of the match.
Now, Ryan looked like he just aimed that ball.
He did, and again, that is a typical spare this week. Get the ball slightly wide, the ball's gone. And as you can see, he's a little bit, as Tita was earlier. Tita Semez, tentative in the swing, muscles, using a lot of muscle. It wasn't swung freely. The ball set down early, and it hooked early.
Ryan and Duke open in the 7th. Their lead cut to 19. Ooh, the 10-pin.
Good break for Tita, bad break for Norm. That's the way you have to look at that. Tita sitting on the bench, hoping it'll stand up. Norm saying, why didn't it fall down? It was a great shot. Good speed on the ball. The ball, it goes a long way down the lane. Watch the rotation on the ball. It comes in behind the head pin, deflects, and that's where you get the ringing 10. Ball goes into a roll maybe 2 or 3 inches earlier, Jay, it's a strike.
In a period of our telecast, an hour and a half, how can the lane conditions change?
They can change quite drastically. This week, we're bowling on 3-pound, 6-ounce pins, Jay. The oil is a high viscosity oil, meaning it's a thick oil. It doesn't move very readily, but it does move. And as it moves, it changes the reaction of the ball, especially in the pin deck area. The professionals will adjust quite rapidly. It's especially the touring players, Jay. They will adjust to this because they see it most every week. It'll be a little more difficult for the senior players because they're not bowling competition every week.
Oh, that's a big one for Kent Wagner.
Position that Kent takes on the approach as he starts it, he opens his shoulders. You can see that as he goes to the foul line. It's almost a sidearm, like a shortstop going to first base. As he comes through the ball, he's off balance, but he has tremendous power. Look at the reaction. He liked that one. Tita has to get something going, Jay.
And he did.
And he did. That's experience.
Tita bowled a 300 game last in the 83 Masters. And the lead now for Ryan and Duke is 9. Roy Ryan.
This is the foundation frame, Jay. The 9th frame. It's a key shot. Bad break again for Norm Duke and Roy Ryan. Easy spare, and that's important. You have to fill frames at this point. And we're going to leave it up to the touring players going into the 10th frame. Good shot. He went through the ball well. Good follow through. Good balance. He liked it. As it goes down the lane, you can see the ball rotating into the pocket. It's a good hit. It could have went either way. Could have been a strike. Unfortunately for Roy, it wasn't. But it is an easy spare, Jay. He'll cover this spare going cross lane, setting it up again for the touring players. Wagner against Duke in the 10th frame.
All right. Roy Ryan, a very personable gentleman. And Ryan and Duke, +8.
The count becomes important now, Jay. A strike here would force Semez and Wagner to get the first strike in the 10th frame to win the match, to have an opportunity to win the match.
Duke, although he's only 20 years old, very experienced. He Grew up in a bowling alley that his mother owned in Mount Pleasant, Texas. Oh, he left the 10.
Can't throw it any better than that, Jay. It was an excellent shot considering the circumstances. And as I mentioned earlier, Norm is a fine pressure player. I'm sure he'll make this spare, as he'll shoot cross lane at it and cover the spare, try to get as many pins in the count ball as he can. He got the ball again long, and the left lane is breaking a little sooner than the right lane. He uses a little more speed. Got the ball down the lane. It came in behind the pin slightly, and again the solid 10. The players are getting the ball to stop a little bit on the right-hand lane, lane 22. Lane 21 of the championship pair is breaking a little sooner, a little sharper, a little more difficult.
Well, he's cashed in 12 of 26 tournaments. He has the spare.
Count becomes important right now, Jay. If he strikes here, their team has an even 200 game. That would mean Semez and Wagner's team, with Wagner up, would need the first strike to have the opportunity to win the match.
And the winner of this match will go against the veteran Bob Perry and Marshall Holman. Ryan and Duke. Eight-pin lead. Oh, the youngster comes through in fine fashion.
He was just looking for a good count there, Jay. He didn't want to leave a bucket or something, or get a 6 count or something like that. That would open the door for Semez and Wagner.
And a score of 200.
Wagner must strike to have the opportunity to win this first match. A lot of concentration on his face.
Well, there should be. Didn't get there. So,
if you watch him go to the foul line, Jay, Kent that time was a little fast with his feet, and he knew it when he started. He got his feet ahead of the ball. He's off balance at the point of release. Didn't get good leverage, didn't get a good lift on the ball. The ball didn't finish for him.
Well, Earl, you've told me many times that most of the problems of the outstanding players are in the footwork.
Tennessee is the tendency, Jay, under pressure, is to rush your feet a little bit, get there a little fast. And that's what happened to Kent.
It's Ryan and Duke winning this first match, 200 to 192. And it'll be Bob Perry and Marshall Holman up next. The Player of the Year award is up, of course, the Rookie of the Year, and some interesting and talented people up close to the top.
That's right. A lot of the greatest players in the world will be bowling this fall, Jay, only for the reason that there's a lot of money available, and as you mentioned, the Bowler of the Year award is still up for grabs. Looking at the standings right now, as far as averages, as far as money won, titles won, there's 9 guys still in the running for Bowler of the Year, and that to me is as close as it's ever been in my 15 years being associated with the PBA.
And we will be in Indianapolis next Saturday afternoon. Hope you'll be joining us for the PBA tour there. And we'll come back and talk a little bit about the overall format and the chemistry of playing doubles action right after this.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
You're looking at 59-year-old Bob Perry from Phoenix, Arizona, paired with Marshall Holman. And what a way to start for Bullet Bob.
Bob's an interesting guy and really a wonderful guy, Jay. He's interesting in the fact that he's a very emotional person, and you're going to see a lot of emotion on the approach this game because both he and Marshall are very fiery competitors.
Roy Ryan in the 82 Seniors Championship. Got there just a little high, didn't it, Earl?
He got a break there, Jay. That ball was set down again, and it's hooked early on him. He was hoping to get the crossover strike or the Brooklyn strike. Watch the ball break sharply as it goes left, and he almost got the kick off the wall to trip out the 6-10. He did get the 10 out, left the easy spare, the 6-pin. He'll cover it cross lane again, standing on the left, going across the center of the lane. Should be an easy spare for Roy Ryan.
And he's got it. Ryan and Duke striking on 55.5% in their first game. 81.8 of their rolls were in the pocket. This young man has done very well in a relatively short time out here on the PBA Tour.
Watch the way he reacts to this, Jay. It's just great. We've got two very emotional teams involved here, and it's going to get exciting as it continues on toward the end. Look at him. And I think you're going to see a lot of that on Marshall Holman. Marshall starts slow, but he finishes hard.
30 years of age, Jacksonville, Oregon. Holman the Bullman, as he's called, gets off to a good start. Boy, we've got some excitement building with this one.
This should be a great match. Again, they're all very emotional players, Jay. We're going to see a lot of antics on the approach. I'm looking forward to this one. It's going to be fun.
Bob Perry was drafted by the Yankees, played in their farm system.
I was drafted by the Army.
By the Army. Now, Perry and Holman start off with a turkey, and Ryan and Duke are down 20 as Ryan will come to the line.
Chance to get it back to within 10 pins, Jay, right here. He's been tough on this lane. I expect this to be a high-scoring match at this point.
That's got to hurry.
It's got to hurry, but he got a break. He got away with what could have been a very tough spare. Could have been a washout. Instead, he ends up with a 1-2-8. He'll try to make the ball cross over to the left side of the half pin, take out the 1-2-8.
Well, as we look at him, get a chance to see this again.
Remember his first shot, Jay, or the first ball he threw on that lane in this game went through the middle of the head pin. This time he tried to make an adjustment, use a little more loft and speed, and the ball sailed. It's a tricky shot if you get outside that track area. Again, as I mentioned earlier, between the second and third arrow, there's a lot of friction. Outside of it, there's a lot of oil. The ball skids. It's got to hurry.
All right. You know, Earl, back in 1959, the first PBA Tour event was won by Lou Wrongfoot Campy. And your friend Dick Weber won the other two. They played for $49,500 total purses for those three events.
That's a long time ago, Jay.
It is a long time ago, and the PBA Tour has come a long way, baby.
Sure has. That ball, he just lost it off his hand, Jay. When he got to the foul line, he knew it was gone. It just flew right off his thumb and off his fingers. Never had a chance to get anything on it to make the ball finish. And here it is at this point. There's his typical high backswing, but the ball comes off very early, and he knew he didn't get anything on it, and he's thinking, oh, wish I could throw that one again. Tough spare. Very difficult spare here. The bucket, 2-4-5-8.
And Ryan and Duke, a problem. Perry and Holman are in very, very good shape. We hope you're enjoying the PBA action. Up at this point by 35. This the second match, and the winner of this match will go against Lou Blancardi and John Forst. $25,000 first prize, $13,000 for second, $9,000 for third, $8,000 for fourth. Marshall Holman. And a split.
Disastrous split at this point, Jay, because they were doing so well. And you know, that quite often happens. As you come out of a commercial break, you might say the player is sitting there and the initial adrenaline is gone. Now he kind of relaxes. He slows the ball up. You see it break early. The ball goes through the middle of the head pin. And what we call, you know, the big four. It's a very difficult, almost impossible spare. He'll throw it hard, cross lane, trying to make it bounce out of the backhand. Almost did.
Didn't quite come back for him. Perry and Holman, 82 through 4, 17-point lead over Ryan and Duke.
Well, Bob's got to get it pumped up again, try to get it started again for his team. He just let that one go poorly, and he knows it. He's shaking his head. I was talking to Bob before we started, Jay, and he said how nervous he was. He's a nice guy. I think if they would get out there and show a little emotion they were showing in the first few frames, it would relax them a little bit and they'd be all right.
His last 300 game was back in '67. He has never won the title out here on the PBA Tour.
Going for the 1-2-8. He'll try to make the ball cross over to the left side of the head pin, covering the spare. Well, he got a break.
Earl, this week we had 80 seniors, 80 touring pros start things off here. 18 games.
I heard the guys calling the seniors calling the touring pros juniors. 80 seniors and 80 juniors.
Roy Ryan.
See how quickly this doubles format can even up. Even though Perry and Holman started out with a 35-pin lead, it came right back to it very quickly. Great body position. His shoulders are right where they belong. Good swing through the bottom. It was a good shot, Jay. Just again, not really what you call a good break. He could have tripped the 4. The ball hit very hard, cut right through the back end. Good cover on the spare, cross lane.
And Ryan touched down the 4-pin. I mentioned we started with 80 players. After 18 games, then they were paired up for match play, and the top senior was paired with the top touring professional.
Right, Jay. Based on 18 games of qualifying, total pinfall, they were paired number 1 and number 1, senior and touring player, right on down the line through the top 18 players of each division. Here's the key to their team right here. Norm Duke, Jay. He's got to get something going. He's got to get that enthusiasm going, and that's how you do it right there.
You betcha. He's an engaging young man.
As Marshall comes to this shot, he's looking at the score sheet. He knows what's going on, and Marshall's thinking, we had him down, we've got to get him down again. We can't give Norm Duke a chance to go into the 10th frame and beat us. He wants to start now.
Oh, I don't think he thought he was going to get them all, but he did.
Marshall knew he released the ball well. What he's hoping is that when the ball comes in slightly behind the head pin, with the power that he had on that release, he would carry that 5-pin into the 7, and he did. Look at the intensity. Look at the concentration in his eyes, Jay. Tremendous lift, leg strength. He says, I know I've got it.
And Perry comes up a little short. This is Bob's first career championship round appearance. Won only $22,000 in his career. His 84 earnings were over $4,000, but he owns a pro shop in Phoenix and hasn't performed really on a regular basis that much.
Never did really bowl on the tour, you might say, Jay. He's been more of a regional member over the years and used his PBA card to help promote his business a little bit as a pro shop owner.
We hope you're enjoying the sights and seniors touring pro doubles here in San Antonio. First prize $25,000. The team will split that, of course. Semez and Wagner winning the 5th spot and splitting $7,000.
Not a bad week's pay there, Jay.
Not bad at all. Ryan and Duke minus 17.
Chance to get within 7 with a strike here. Roy knows that. He's really working hard now.
Well, that was a bit high and just wouldn't go for him.
Really not that bad a shot. He got to the foul line well. Roy is having a little trouble with the lane because I think, as we mentioned earlier, Jay, the lane is changing for him now. As it changes, he's going to have to make some adjustments. The touring players, because they're used to making those adjustments, make them more readily. The senior players have really not bowled that much competition-wise as far as television and the changes that are prevalent when they're under this kind of lights and things like that.
Roy picks up the spare. Down by 17. 1947, TV and bowling got together. And Norm Duke this week, 217.5 average, 204.3 on the year. A very, very fine week for this young man who now lives in Fort Worth. Last evening he was very fired up, along with Roy Ryan, getting into the step ladder finals. This time he leaves the 3-6-10.
really kind of fortunate there, Jay, because the ball could have left a split. It could have been, the ball hit the middle of the head pin and just kind of sliced off the left side of the pins. And when he let go of the ball, he knew he was in trouble. Fortunately, he got away with what is considered a difficult spare, but makeable.
20-pin lead now for Perry and Holman.
Marshall last time out on this lane threw the ball a little soft, a little tentatively. This time, I think we'll see an adjustment by Marshall. He'll get the ball down the lane with a little more speed, a little firmer.
Marshall's girlfriend there, Terry, looking on.
She's gorgeous.
And Holman. Oh, did he get a little slider there? Marshall knows that.
There was the adjustment, though, Jay, that I mentioned. He got the ball longer down the lane. It went behind the head pin, and he got a very fortunate kick on the 2-pin. He actually carried it forward. See how long the ball goes? It goes way down the lane, starts to break behind the head pin. Watch the pins come forward, kick the 2-pin forward. That's a good break. Very good break.
And Perry comes up short.
Chance to really get, really put themselves in the command seat, you might say, if he'd got a strike there and let it get away from him again. Bob, as I mentioned earlier, is his first time on the telecast, Jay, and he's very nervous. I think he's doing quite well.
A 1-2-4 leave for Perry. He was over at the snack bar earlier fighting down a cup of coffee. He says, it's about all I can get down.
I can understand that feeling. I've had it many times.
So Perry and Holman have a problem.
That was a difficult spare, Jay. It's easy to miss. There's a lot of ways to make it, a lot of ways to miss it. Unfortunately for Bob, he missed it. The ball isn't going to break quite as much as he thought it would. It stays through the middle of the head pin, and that's what we call chopping or picking the cherry, leaving the 4-pin.
170 through 9 for Perry and Holman. Ryan and Duke -8.
Still anybody's match at this point, Jay.
Ryan ready to fire. But he got it. Oh, is he excited?
And I'll tell you, Jay, that is a tremendous break. And the reason it's a tremendous break is now Norm Duke's up. And as I mentioned several times earlier, he's great under pressure. I think we'll see a fine shot from Norm right at this point, and it could be a crucial double that puts him in the lead in this match.
You think he's happy? Oh, all the way to Peoria. Indeed, indeed.
Yeah, it's fun when you do it for fun, see?
Now here is Norm Duke, and he's grinding.
To take the lead, needs a strike. Not only did he not get the strike, Jay, but he left a difficult spare, the 2-8. Norm likes to shoot anything on the left side of the lane from the left, which is kind of unusual. We'll see if he goes at it from that angle. I think he'd be better off crossing the lane from the right-hand side, but he looks like he's lined up to go from the left side of the lane directly at it. Makes it easier to chop. Great shot. Great shot. To force him to mark, Jay, he has to get at least 8 pins. He wants to get 8 pins so they can finish with a minimum of 180.
The winner here will face Louis Blancardi. He's the gentleman from right here in San Antonio, the local favorite, John Forst, in match 3. That's the 4-pin.
All right, now where we're at, Marshall Holman must make at least a spare to win the match. If he gets a mark, they're the winners. Stay behind the foul line after that.
Holman has been in this position many times before.
I think it's more difficult to try to get a spare when you need it than it is a strike sometimes, Jay. You try to play it safe. Sometimes you get in trouble. Marshall's very experienced, as you mentioned, though. We'll see what happens. It's trouble. That was
he
a
got
big break.
Big break.
Very big break. Marshall knew it when he let go. See the reaction? Wave at the pins. Like, what happened?
Marshall has bowled very well in the state of Texas over the years. He's had great success in Austin and in Houston.
This isn't a gimme spare, Jay. He's going to have to work on this one because the lanes are breaking down in the back. He knows he needs a spare to win the match. He's going to shoot cross lane. He'll probably throw with a little extra speed. Again, it's easy to chop. He's got to be careful. Sigh of relief.
Yes, indeed. They got it.
He's got to stay behind the foul line, Jay.
Perry and Holman hanging very, very tough. Look at Marshall. He was just 24 years old when he won his 10th event in Seattle. He is the youngest bowler in PBA history to win 10 titles. A count of 7, and Holman and Perry move on as they win it 187 to 181. So you'll see the team, 5th place finishing team of Tita Semez and Kent Wagner splitting $7,000 in prize money. And Roy Ryan and Norm Duke will pick up $4,000 apiece for finishing 4th here. And you're going to have an opportunity now here at the Ponderosa Bowl in San Antonio, Texas, to see the team of Louis Blancarty and John Forst. They're loosening up. Big crowd on hand. Here were the top finishers. We'll give you an opportunity. Bob Williams and Mark Baker. Thought you'd like to see the faces of the men who've been performing here, and we'll be doing this all the way along on the fall tour here on NBC Sports. Bill Miller. Bill Bunetta, there's a name out of the past. 14th place. Young man from St. Louis, Steve Wunderlich there. Bob Kowalik, Bobby Knippel, Mr. Chase and Mr. Grant, Billy Walden and young Henry Gonzalez picking up 2,800. Bill Beach, talented Art Trask. Tommy Tuttle still bowling well, Earl.
Still bowling well after a hand injury. He's come back, bowled quite well.
And Dick Weber, Hall of Famer.
My
he was
idol.
there in the beginning. Your idol, yeah. Everybody's idol, I guess. Larry Casera and Dennis Jacks. And, of course, earlier you saw Carmen Salvino and Don Gianello. The top finishers here this week in what has been just a great time from the standpoint of the hospitality and the action.
Well, here we go, Jay. First shot.
Perry. And he's got a bit of a toughie left.
Left the 9-10. Bob, again, he's quite nervous, and that's understandable. First time on national television.
How about this one? It's tough.
He can cover this. I think Bob will cover this because it's almost like picking up the 10 pin by itself. You just try to hit the insides, left side of the 10 pin. The ball should deflect slightly and take out the 9. It isn't an easy shot, but it's one he can handle.
Didn't handle it. He did not handle it.
First time I've ever been wrong, Jay.
Well, I'll mark that one down, Earl. Here's your first look at the local favorite, Lou Blancarty, 54 years old, from right here in San Antonio. What a week it's been for him. Oh, yes! Oh, that's the kind of week Louis had. He's had some fun.
That one was kind of a bad break for him, and he's smiling about it. It's early in the match, but if it was late, it would be trouble. The reason he's still standing there, he's going to have to throw it again. Look at this. Look at the great pin action. He almost got it, but watch the rack as it comes down. It touches the pin, and the rules of bowling are that if it touches the pin while it's in play, it has to be restand. They have to stand it up again. So they respot the 4 pin,
happen.
and Louis will go across lane at the 4 pin for the spare.
You can hear them rooting for Louis here. And there is his daughter-in-law, some of the family. His son, Louis III. This is John Forst from Grange, Illinois. 24 years old, big fella, 6'1", 195-pounder. This is the 6th year on the tour for Forst, part-time instructor and a lane mechanic. His goal, he told me, was just try to improve each year.
And he's been doing that, Jay. He's a very capable player. He's what you call a power player. He's very strong, gets a lot of revolutions on the ball. Any part of the pocket can be a strike. And here's another great player.
Oh, and Holman is in a peck of trouble. Holman and Perry defeating Ryan and Duke 187 to 181. We're going to look at what happened here, Earl.
Well, Marshall is... It's really hard to pick apart Marshall's game. It's such a great game, and he does make a good shot. He just misjudged the reaction on the lane. He's left an impossible split, almost the Big Five or the Greek Church, whichever one you want to call it. That's not what the bowlers call it. They call it a lot of things besides that. He'll go for the 3 and hope he gets a bounce out of the back end here.
Well, a problem for Perry and Holman as they get started in rather poor fashion, and that's a tough problem in doubles, but of course you can string them together.
It's tough in doubles of this nature, Jay. It's tough to keep anything going. So you're really not out of it. You'd like to get out of the gate good, but you're not out of it if you don't.
Perry strikes. Lancardi and Forst up by 23. Lou is a gentleman who is extremely well liked here in San Antonio.
The contrast between Lou's ball and his partners, John. John is playing an extreme inside angle with a lot of belly in through the lane bed. As you can see Lou's ball go down the lane, it's very direct to the pocket. Completely different angles. Either one will work depending on the revolution of the ball. Watch the power of the shot from John Forst.
Now you saw it right there. His second championship round appearance this year. So we'll have more of the PBA bowling on NBC.
Future touring player right there,
Yes,
Jay.
sir. Next week, next Saturday, Earl, we'll be in Indianapolis for the $125,000 Greater Indianapolis Open.
Marshall made some adjustments on this lane earlier. And as we mentioned earlier, Jay, the bowlers are staying on the same lane. They're not alternating lanes as you'd normally see the PBA bowlers do. Now, what he's going to try to do here probably is increase his speed, and the rotation will be more forward, like that.
And right there is why he is up on top in both the money winnings and the averages. He's right up there.
That's what you call a professional adjustment. Marshall's had trouble with the ball breaking early and going high. He goes more direct, a forward roll. The rotation of the ball is more end over end. It holds the line longer, and there's the result. That's a great player.
Bob Perry.
Bob's got an easy spare here, Jay. All he's left here is the 2-4. You can see by the way he's standing there, he's a little nervous still. As they get more and more into the match, he'll get a little more comfortable, but he shouldn't have any problem covering his spare. He'll go cross lane at it. Standing by cross lane, I mean he's going to be standing on the right-hand side of the lane, making the ball go from right to left to cover the spare.
All right. Earl, you've given us a few bowling tips already today, and of course a little later on we will have the first segment of your 7 steps to better bowling, which will be with us each week on the fall tour. Now here's Lou Lancardi. Has to hurry.
Well,
The 10.
but not a bad break, really, when you think about it. They've got a substantial lead. He got an easy spare out of it. He didn't like the way he rolled the ball. He was hoping to get a break, Jay. That's the ball enters a little bit behind the head pin. It's what we call the weak 10. Watch the ball. It comes behind the head pin, kind of deflects. Pin lays in the channel, doesn't take out the 10. Not an easy spare at this point, Jay.
No. His first career championship round appearance. Got it. Beginning next week, True Value will present a check for $50,000 to any player that bowls a perfect 300 game on our television series here on NBC.
That's a lot of money, Jay. You know, it's a lot of money.
Mighty nice. John Force now.
Power to spare there, Jay. That's the contemporary bowler. That's the contemporary bowler, the inside-out swing. Watch him bring the ball to the inside, swing it from behind him, see his shoulders open up, come back through from the inside, create all that leverage and power, and he's happy.
He'd like to win here. He's going to be getting married in December. And Holman's got another problem. Marshall really struggling here.
I talked to Marshall before we started, Jay, when they were practicing, and he said that he was afraid with 10 bowlers on the telecast that there might be too much practice being done by the bowlers on the practice pair for that hour that they get before the telecast starts. And by them doing that much practicing, the oil would move around too rapidly, and the shot would change very quickly for him and for the other bowlers, and it would make it harder for them to adjust. And it looks like that's what's happening down there. It's a difficult spare, the 2-7-8. He'll probably try to cover the spare on the inside, in other words, to the right-hand side of the 2-pin. Let the ball take out the 2-8, and just like that.
All right, that's why he's first in average on the 84 year and second in money winnings with over $110,000.
Marshall was happy.
Holman are down 37. Yes, he was happy.
I think he thought he might have missed it, Jay. Here's a guy that's having a lot of fun, Jay. Bob's having a great time.
Left the 1-2-4.
And confused. He's very confused at this point. He doesn't seem to be able to get the ball to react the way he thinks it should react. Great concentration. He gets to the line. He thinks he's made a good shot at this point. He thinks the ball's going to break up to the pocket, and then it just stops, and he says, why? He doesn't understand. And that happens quite often. Good cover.
Hope you're enjoying Survival of the Fittest. And here's Lou Blancardi. Quite a story, this gentleman. One of his hobbies is jogging. He's 54 years of age. Jogs 2 miles every day and has run in 5 marathons this year.
I could start him. I just couldn't finish him, Jay.
He works as a computer programmer at nearby Randolph Air Force Base. Was in the Army here at Fort Sam Houston.
Difficult spare here, Jay. 2-4-5.
Made it look easy, Earl.
That spare has been really one of the prevalent spares all week long. Because of the lane surface, the ball tends to skid out. And he's playing down the center of the lane where they're a little bit more tricky than they are in other parts. He almost chopped it, barely got the 5-pin to go.
Blancardi and Forced up by 40 pins. Oh, yes. They're heating up now.
John's perfect so far, Jay. He hasn't missed. He's thrown 4 balls for 4 strikes. Marshall knows they're in trouble. He has to get it going. There's 3 frames left for his team to bowl. He must strike here. Hope that Bob strikes in the 9th and Marshall can strike out in the 10th. It's the only chance they have. Got a break.
He got a break there. The hit was a little high.
He's shaking his head. He's confused. His partner's confused. They're going to need some good breaks to stay in the match. But when you consider how well John Force is throwing the ball, watch the ball cross over to the left side of the head pin. He gets the kick off the wall. He does get the 6 and 10 to fall. Big break for Marshall and his team.
Let's see if Perry can make it a double. Oh.
Well, he tried to make an adjustment there, Jay. He moved a little bit right on the approach, moved his target slightly to the right, and the ball hit the oil that's outside of the track area, skidded, came in way behind the head pin, and he left what the 1-2-4-10, which is called the washout. Difficult spare to convert. He's got to try to make the ball cross over to the left side of the head pin to take out the 10 pin. The ball will take out the 2 and the 4. It's like a good shot.
Oh, yes. You know, Bob lost his son, Andy, 19 years old, due to a brain tumor. He said, I prayed on Thursday night hoping I could win this one for him.
That's great. That's great.
Lou Blancardi, 5'5", 149 pounds, and he works at it. Left the 10 pin.
Chance to close the match right there, Jay. If he'd carried the strike, that would have been all over. Now it's still anybody's match.
The key for Louis probably was the 2 weeks prior to this event. He practiced about 100 games at Ponderosa. Really got to know the lanes rather well, I would think.
That's a lot of bowling.
Coming up after this match, the first of Earl Anthony's 7 steps to better bowling. And Louis converts. What's the tip today, Earl?
Well, we're going to do some very basic things, Jay. Fundamentals on how to get the proper distance from the foul line, hold the ball properly, things like that, just to get you started right. Jay, I think this match is over.
Yeah, Blancardi and Forst in the driver's seat, up by 40 pins. And Forst.
Oh, he got them all. Now that's power. That's power. As the ball goes down the lane and makes its turn to the pocket, it drives the 5 pin into the wall, knocks out the 7, and comes out and takes out the 10.
Well, Blancardi and Forst will be moving ahead to meet Les Sykes and Brian Voss. Right now, we're going to have an opportunity to check in with our analyst, Earl Anthony.
Pizza Hut presents 7 Steps to Better Bowling with Earl Anthony.
Hi, and welcome to Pizza Hut's 7 Steps to Better Bowling. What we're going to try to accomplish during the next 7 weeks is teach you the basic fundamentals of the game and lead you into some more of the advanced stages of the game. Hopefully we'll make you a better bowler by the end of the 7 weeks. We're going to start with a very fundamental thing, which is establishing your basic distance from the foul line. To do this, you take 4.5 normal steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a half. The reason for the half step is so that you have room to slide when you get to the foul line. Now that I've established my proper distance from the foul line, I'm going to take my stance. For the proper stance, start with the ball directly in line with your shoulder. Keep your elbow very tight to your body. Keep most of the weight of the bowling ball on your non-bowling hand. Stand erect, but flex your knees so you feel comfortable. Keep your feet together, and you're ready to start your approach. To summarize, remember to establish the proper distance from the foul line for a comfortable approach. Be comfortable in your stance. Be relaxed. Next week, we're going to talk about how to put your hand on the ball properly for consistent release, and also how to get to the foul line properly with good balance for good, consistent shot making.
That was a great game. Hey, what do you say we grab
Dad, we ain't that lousy, we.
Gee, I've got it. How about some...
Again? How about something different this time?
How about,
Pizza Hut! Pan pizza! All right!
Pan pizza at Pizza Hut. When you're looking for specialized cheese, lots of tasty toppings.
how about next week we...
Pan pizza!
At your hometown Pizza Hut.
Les Sykes and Brian Voss in the title match against Blancardi and Forst. Coming up, be sure to stay tuned for a special edition of NBC Sports World. Here's a preview.
Survival of the fittest, next on Sports World.
With Earl Anthony, Jay Randolph at the Ponderosa Lanes, Ponderosa Bowl, San Antonio, the Alamo City. And it will be the local favorite, Louis Blancardi, and his partner, John Forst, going up against the top qualifiers, the veteran Les Sykes. And he is partnered by Brian Voss. This big crowd getting ready for the championship match, $25,000 in flaming red today. Sykes And Voss.
Cheesecake right out of the Bowler's Journal. Here's a chance for all the girls to watch. But being serious, Jay, Brian is really a stylist on the tour. If the junior bowlers are watching, or anybody that wants to pick up some hints on how to get to the foul line properly, make good extension, good shots, good follow-through, he's the guy to watch.
He told me that when he has an opportunity to make a TV final like this, it fills him with confidence. He won at Houston. He was second at Buffalo. And he told me that doubles are fun. And, of course, next week, we'll be back to singles in Indianapolis next Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time and 2 p.m. out in Los Angeles. We'll continue with the second stop on the PBA Fall Tour. Hope all of you around the nation will be joining us, and Earl Anthony will bring us his second step to better bowling. I'm learning a lot.
Are you paying attention to those,
I'm
Jay?
paying attention. I really am. Some of the
There's going to be
names we'll be seeing next week, of course, are Wayne Webb, a hometown favorite. And we can expect, of course, I'm sure to see Marshall Holman, and maybe Mark Roth will be out and join us. So it should be very interesting indeed. What are your thoughts about the lane conditions as we get into this championship match?
Well, the lane conditions have been fairly equitable for everybody all week, Jay. From pair to pair, they've been very good. But I think right now, because of the number of players bowling on the pair, the oil has moved around drastically. It's made them difficult to make adjustments on, and I think that's why the scores are starting to suffer.
In this doubles competition, experience counts, and we have, of course, the veterans with the touring professionals, and the chemistry that is involved in trying to win the big match. Very interesting.
This is it. This is for all the money. You know, when you look at this from a senior's point of view, they're a little more nervous than the touring players are. Because they're looking at this is a major prize fund for them, something they haven't had, in the past have not had the opportunity to compete for.
And Earl, we hope all of our viewers will enjoy the uninterrupted championship match here, this final. There's Les Sykes. We'll be right with you for all 10 frames. Les, who is from Palatine, Illinois. He was 50 years old last Monday. That's a tough way to begin.
4-7-10. Very difficult spare. Les is going to have to move to the left side of the approach. He'll try to throw the ball fairly hard, slide the 4-pin across into the 7.
There's what he has to face.
4-pin should slide across into the 7 if he makes the shot. It's a very difficult shot, Jay. I think Les right now would be happy to just get the 2 off the right-hand corner and say, Brian, go get him.
Ooh, and he came up empty.
And that's a mistake. You don't want to give up that kind of count. He gave away 2 pins, trying to make a very difficult spare. This early in the match, might have been better off to go for 2.
A man from San Antonio. The spotlight is on Lou Blancardi. It's his first championship appearance. Up the 10-pin.
I think he's doing extremely well, Jay. He's making good shots. He's keeping the ball in play in the safe area in the pocket. He's having a little trouble getting the ball to hit. He's playing in the heavy oil outside the second arrow. See the ball skidding, then picking up a roll late as it goes into the pin area. The weak 10 again. He's covered the spare very well in the past. I think he'll do quite well on it this time. The key to this match, I think, for both teams is how well this man does. If he gets a couple of strikes the way John Forst is bowling, it could be over early, Jay.
Well, Blancardi converts. He's 1 out of 5 in the strike department. Very cool. Forst is 7 out of 7. Blancardi and Forst up 13 here in the early going of this championship match. Forst has won better than 88,000 in his career. Going for more here today. Bingo!
Tough to beat that. Again, if Lou can get a couple of strikes just to help support John the way he's going, they're going to be unbeatable. But here's the guy we haven't heard from yet, Brian Voss, and he's great under pressure, fine player. As I said earlier, Jay, the fundamentals of his game are outstanding.
His 3rd championship round appearance this year. He is the heartthrob of the tour, this very handsome young man from Tacoma, Washington. Got it.
Got to break early. Got to break early. That's what you need.
A late reward there on the 10.
He's from my hometown, Jay.
Yeah. He told me that you were one of his idols growing up, and
That's because I'm so old.
Well, he comes back from that open frame in good fashion.
Jay, it's something that is kind of interesting. If you watch the bowlers, the two senior players, Les Sykes and Lou Blancardi, are both playing outside angles. In other words, outside near the second arrow or slightly outside of that. Both of the touring players are playing inside angles. There's a tee shot right there.
Blancardi, born in Corpus Christi, Texas, lives now here in San Antonio, and he's been something special this week.
Outside, see the ball going around the 8 board on the lane between the first and second arrow, goes into an earlier roll, finishes higher in the pocket, and he strikes instead of a 10-pin.
And here's the big, strong partner.
That's so you know, it happens so often, Jay, when they get an opportunity to really jump on them, bad break comes up. A good break for the other team.
Blancardi and Forrest up by 13 at the moment.
This is a weakness in John's game. If there's any part of his game that's weak, he's a tremendous strike thrower. He can get strikes forever. He can strike with anybody, but his spare shooting is suspect. And I think right now, at this point, shooting for the championship, he could be a little nervous. And there it is.
Wow, you called that one?
I hope I didn't bring in bad luck, but it's John has had trouble with his spares all week. I was here watching him on Thursday and on Friday, and he's trying to make the ball go straight. See the end over end roll, try to make the ball not hook, which is contrary to his normal release. He's trying to keep the ball. All you have to do is hit the 10-pin. That's what he was trying to do, and he missed it. The ball fell in the channel before it got there. Makes it a very exciting match again, Jay.
Well, we're showing you each and every frame of this championship final here from Ponderosa Bowl in San Antonio. Boss. Well, he didn't get the 10.
I don't think he could have thrown it any better, Jay. It was an excellent shot. Good loft, good position at the foul line. He extended down the lane well. Didn't cut the ball short. The ball finished well into the pins. I thought it was going to be a strike. I really did. I think Brian did too.
222.3 average this week.
That's a good game, much less an average.
You're not kidding.
In contrast to John Forrest, Brian is an excellent spare shooter. You won't see him miss very many. But you know, when you go for the power, you give up something else. And John's given up the spare ability to go for all the striking power.
Survival of the fittest coming up next. You'll see some very strong and talented people. And right now we're watching Les Sykes. Boy.
Bad break for Les. He looks upset about something that might have happened behind him. I think he might have stuck on the approach. He's kind of pushing his foot around down there. Let's see him go to the foul line. We'll see his sliding foot, his left foot as it gets to the foul line. He did stick. He's off balance. See how he stepped with his other foot to catch his balance. The ball hooks early, cuts through the pins. 4-9. Very difficult spare. He's going to try to shoot cross lane, make the 4 slide into the 9-pin.
He still bowls some on the regular tour.
Very capable bowler. Good shot.
Yes, indeed. Oh!
That's why he's won 2 championships, Jay.
He really was working on this. Look at the concentration.
He looks mean, doesn't he, Jay? Mm-hmm. He's going cross lane. He knows he's made a good shot. He's watching the reaction, and he's got it. Perfect cover. Can't do anything better.
Blancardi. Blancardi and Forrest here in the 5th, up by 3.
The emotional ups and downs of match play, Jay. Forrest and Blancardi are sitting on the bench thinking they've got an open when Les left the 4-9, when Les Sykes left the 4-9, but he picked it up, and that disturbed concentration of Lou Blancardi, and he went up there and didn't make his best shot. It does change emotionally up and down very quickly.
There's a nice pickup.
Excellent cover. 2-4-5-8 the bucket. It's a difficult spare. He covered it as good as you can cover it. It's up to John now. He's got to start striking again. Take a little of the pressure off Lou. Bad break. break.
Yes, it was. That looked like it was right on target.
That's where he wants that ball to hit. More often than not, he'll carry that hit. If he can hit light in the pocket, as the ball enters the pins, it's late, but it's coming in at the extreme angle. He should carry it off the wall. It hits so hard, the pins fly over the top. He leaves the 4-pin. A very unusual leave for that type of hit.
The winners will split $25,000.
Good cover on the spare for John. Makes a comment, well, that's 1 for 2.
There's Joe Antonora, the PBA commissioner. Just to the right, of course, there, sitting in and watching the action today. Gentleman in the red tie there. Akron, Ohio. This man has done so much for bowling, along with, of course, Eddie Elias. All right, Ryan Voss comes through. They call him the Cat Man. He was once the All-Army champion 2 years in a row.
Got a big break there, Jay. He didn't release that ball properly, and you could hear it rolling down the lane. He was actually catching the thumb hole, and that's what helped the ball stay in the pocket.
Zykes and Voss down by 2.
Chance to extend it to 12 with a strike here. Les is really into this. He's really concentrating. And it's going to go Brooklyn.
But he got it.
He got it.
I was watching him bowl a week ago yesterday in Belleville, Illinois, in a regional PBA event. And here he is in the finals in San Antonio.
A little fast, a little anxious. Pulls the ball across. You can see his arm going from right to left as he released the ball. It hooks early. Great break to carry the crossover strike.
Louis Blancardi comes right back.
That's courage right there, Jay, to come back after your opponent's carry that kind of a strike. We consider that a lucky hit when you cross over. Lou came back and threw it right where it belongs. Now it's up to John, the touring player. He must strike. He must strike to take a lead right here. He's eight pins behind. Here we go.
Well, he left that 2-pin.
John's not really as loose as he was in the first match. I think he's thinking this is the championship. And in my experience, Jay, from bowling on the tour for 14 years, the players that hook the ball a tremendous amount tend to lose control more often than the guys that stroke the ball in pressure situations. It doesn't always happen, don't get me wrong, but it does happen. I think a little more often than the guys that are strokers.
Zykes and Voss up by 8 in the 8th.
Chance to really take control here with Brian Voss up, and he's the guy you want in this situation. He's been in this situation many times, Jay.
And he really comes through there. He told me last night, he said, heck, it's doubles. It's fun, he said.
It's nice to be young.
Zykes and Voss now up by 18.
Chance to close out the match right here, Jay. A strike by Les Zykes on lane 21 could end the match.
They were the #1 qualifiers. Well, he didn't shut the door on him yet.
He sure didn't. In fact, he left a difficult spare. The 2-5 is very difficult. The center of the lane here is playing difficult on spares anyway. Les will probably be going down the center of the lane to cover this spare. The ball could hook early and chop it. It could slide by and leave the 2-pin. So it's going to be exciting to watch. It'll put him right back in the match if he should miss this. For Blancardi and Forrest, it would be back to almost even.
Yes, a consummate Chicago Cub baseball fan. Almost had a dream come true this year.
Big sigh of relief on that spare.
Yeah, stay with us. We've got Sports World coming up, of course. The Survival of the Fittest competition, a special edition following this bowling action. Lou Blancardi. And tough luck for Lou. Again, he's had quite a week here.
What they call the only true tap in the sport of bowling, Jay. The ball entered the pins properly, it was rolling properly, it didn't deflect, it finished through in the right manner. Solid 8-pin. Look at the reaction from John. Thought it was there, knew it was there, can't believe it.
Marshall Holman and Mark Roth and Steve Depp signed Louis' PBA application when he decided to join the PBA, and what a pleasant and talented gentleman he is. Cardi and Force, though, are down 17.
To have any chance at all, Jay, John Force must strike.
And he does.
One more. He needs a double. He must get this strike now, Jay. He'll put himself in position. With this strike, he can make Brian Voss get up and throw the first strike in the 10th frame. Or even a mark would win, but he has to have the first one if John Force gets this one. He has to have a mark in the 10th if John Force strikes here.
The big man from LaGrange, Illinois. Here he is.
Looks good.
Now we're coming to the wire. And you see Mr. Blancardi pondering the situation.
Well, you can believe he knows exactly what's happening as far as the score goes. These players keep it right in their head. They know. They always look at the score sheet to check, but they're pretty sure they know what's going on. 8 pins to make Brian Voss get a mark.